Aja comes in, he has different news sources, and he gives us all of these stories that you don't hear about in the beginning.
He's excellent.
Yeah, it's great. And I have to stop him sometimes because he be wanting to talk about Kim Kardashian and Kanye West. I be having to stop him. I just want to let people know that they're listening.
But remember, all of that is part of this.
Yes, sir.
Remember that they got a movie coming out right now called Captain America: The Winter Soldier, right?
But wait,
this whole
before
thing
you
that's
do that,
going down is based on a Bible verse, Isaiah 19:19.
Before you go there, hold on. I just want to let people know they're listening to
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
All right, come on with it.
Come on with the Bible verse, brother.
The Bible verse, Isaiah 19:19. Now, in the Bible, you'll read, everybody say, oh, the United States in the Bible. It is in the Bible. It's just not called the United States. It's called the daughter of Babylon. You understand? So whenever you read about the daughter of Babylon, you read about the United States. And it says in Isaiah 19:19 that the daughter of Babylon will be struck down by the red and the stars. Now, we know that the Russian flag is red with stars on it, correct? Actually, it's a crescent moon with stars because the Russians, the Chinese, the Iranians, all of these people are coming out of the old Moorish Empire.
Okay.
If we really get into the history, that's why they still have a red flag.
You're on fire, brother, because I got to say something when you finish that thought. I got to interject this, all right?
Indeed. So they created a situation now where the Russians basically, remember, when the United States got into it with Cuba during the Bay, right? The Bay of Pigs, right? Who came to help Cuba? The Russians, right? Right? Under Khrushchev and them. So what we're seeing is a replay, a redux of an old war game that was going down back then that's coming up to play now. Only difference now is the United States is in a position where it needs to deal with Iran.
Right.
Why? Because Iran, on the ley line, is directly connected to what's happening in Crimea, funny enough. One of the ley lines that's right there in Crimea, when you go over towards the east, it lines up right up in the capital of Iran. So that's the problem, because the Iranians, remember, they're not Arabs, they're Persians. So they descend from the aspect of the Moorish Empire that was called the Mughal Empire. So all of this is being done in contingent based upon the fact that all of these so-called world governments know that their time is up. They have no ability to run the world anymore because the government, see, God created man, and then man created government. Therefore, government can never rule over man. You understand? Because that was not something created by God. So in order for government to rule over man, it has to get man to deny God, right? So in essence, we live in a secular society, especially in the United States, that the God of the United States citizen is money. It's not Jesus. It's not Allah. It's not nothing. Whenever you turn on the TV, it's money, 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 money. But guess what? The U.S. government ain't got none. So they got to now go and get people to give up their money to them. But now the Russians is like, but yeah, part of the plan, the theater of war, says that we are inherent enemies. So what we're going to do is create a system where we can bring about a nuclear war. Now, if you get the new $50 bill, we put it together, you will see this giant wave coming over the crest of what looks like New York, right? Also, if you, there's another bill that also looks like the Hoover Dam. Something that looks like the Hoover Dam is actually exploded, and it causes this mass flood. Now, this is in conjunction with Edgar Casey's prediction of America being inundated by water in the Midwest. You see what I'm saying? So remember, anything that you see them talking about and dealing with is not it. You are dealing with an occult.
Okay.
An occult, a hidden meaning behind every plain thing you're seeing.
Right. And just so people understand, the money thing you're talking about, and I just want to make sure, is when the guy folds it and you can see certain things happening. Then they also did that with the old hundreds and the
that's right.
Twin Towers.
That's right, with the towers.
And then now they see something else. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. So just coincidentally, there's a movie coming out called Captain America: The Winter Soldier. And in this movie, right, it's about the Russians, right? It's about Captain America's best friend, Bucky, who was allegedly killed in the first movie. Turns out he was actually kidnapped by the KGB, and they turned him into a super soldier killer. And they made him have an iron arm with a red star on it.
Symbolic.
On the left hand.
Symbolic.
On the left hand.
Yeah.
Symbolic
Symbolism.
now. Because remember, in Isaiah 19:19, it talks about the iron with the star on the left hand of God.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So the Winter Soldier, this is all about them now bringing the war to the United States. And the United States government, through a sort of shadow government called, in this case, SHIELD, right? SHIELD is now basically saying that in order for us to do what we need to do to secure the world, we have to actually destroy the world and rebuild it.
Okay. All right. Now let me just run these things by you, a couple paragraphs, okay? Because you mentioned the Moorish Empire, and I'm going to get to that, but Libya is mentioned in here, as well as the fundamentalists. They call them the rightist Islamic fundamentalists in Syria. Okay.
That's right.
Well, let me just read this to you. The U.S. is playing a very dangerous game by attempting to implement its strategy of encircling the Russian Federation. But the Russians also played a very dangerous game when they decided not to veto the Security Council Resolution 1973, which gave NATO colonial gangsters the green light to destroy the Libyan state.
That's right.
Underscore that. The Libyan state then pretended to be surprised when NATO did just that.
That's
the
right.
aggressive encirclement of Russia by NATO is now a case of the chickens coming home to roost.
Home to roost. That's
Perhaps the Russians did not fully understand what those of us from the African American community have always understood, that U.S. geostrategic decision makers will ally themselves with the right-wing forces if it will help them maintain the hegemony of their empire from racist nationalists in the Ukraine to rightist Islamic fundamentalists in Syria. Did you get that?
That's right. Yes, I did.
Okay.
Let's deal with
right
Gaddafi.
along what you're saying. Okay.
Gaddafi, this is what I'm talking about in the old Moorish Empire, because Gaddafi was the head of Libya, right? The capital of Libya was Tripoli, right? So when we go back to the old United States of Barbary, it was Tripoli, it's Tripolitania, it was Morocco, it was Tunis, right? And it was Algiers, correct? Now, if you look on an exotic map of the United States, you will see each one of those countries here. See, the difference is our people don't know who they are, and this is the issue. We have been, for the past 100 years, been thinking that we are exports from another place, when any African will tell you that we are not Africans. We are not. What Gaddafi was doing, Gaddafi got 200 kings from Africa to nominate him as emperor, and what he agreed to do was back all of their countries up with unlimited supply of gold and resources based upon all the money that he was getting from France and them people to pay off and to hide what happened to the Lockerbie thing and to sign off on the whole Lockerbie thing. Remember that whole Lockerbie Pan Am thing that they blamed on them? That
and
was the
why
United
would
States
they
CIA
do
blowing
that?
that up.
Why would
That
they
had nothing
do
to
that?
do with that.
Why would
He
they
did
do
that
that?
because he said, cool, if y'all want to make me the scapegoat, I'll do that, but pay me. And the United States was paying him ever since. That's why they got so mad at Farrakhan when Farrakhan went and dealt with him. But guess what? Who made the introduction between Farrakhan and Gaddafi? Farrakhan couldn't do it because technically he's still a citizen of the United States, even though he in the Nation of Islam. Who made the introduction? The introduction was made by a Moor named Jeff Fort, who was the head of the El Rukns out of Chicago. Okay? Get the book, The Peace, I forget what it's called. I can't. Next time I'm on, I'll have the book. But essentially, he got 200 kings from Africa to nominate him as emperor. And what they were going to do, and what he did in return, was broke them all off bread to get them off of the dollar. He got them off of it. and he was going to consolidate an African Union, a straight-up African Union outside of the Arabs, outside of the United States. And everybody was with it except the U.S. and the Arab states, specifically Syria, because they had always been mortal enemies. So in that, they worked to get, first of all, 90% of the people in Libya are dark-skinned black people. 90% of them. So everybody that was getting murdered in there was all being murdered by Islamic fundamentalists that were coming outside through the so-called Muslim Brotherhood. The Muslim Brotherhood was set up during the time of what they call the Imam of Berlin, who was a Jew under Hitler. And then after he died, or after the World War II went down, all of those so-called Nazi Arabs, the people that's from the Ukraine and people like that back then, in the Eastern Balkan states, all them people was Muslims. You understand? So all them people went back into the Arabic lands, but they took with them the Nazi thing, and that became the Muslim Brotherhood. And from the Muslim Brotherhood, they were able to be monitored and handled by MI5. MI5 alley-ooped it up to CIA, and the CIA started retooling the from when they were trying to get the Ayatollah Khomeini out when they was back in Saddam. Remember? That's when they was friends. Then what Saddam started doing, seeing what was going down, he started taking their dollars and transferring it into gold, right? And then started buying stock in Russian future industries. So of course he had to get shut down. You see what I'm saying? So all of this is basically, like you said, the chicken's coming home to roost, and on top of that, it's basically a manifestation of the fact that the United States time in the sun is done. The Russian time in the sun is done. All of these secular world governments that have been enslaving, destroying, genociding their people is done. So what they want to do now is break all the toys before the real children of the future can play with them. Can
put them together, yeah. There's
I'm sorry. I wanted to double back to the difference between America and the United States.
Excellent. America represents the United States of America and General Congress assembled. That represents the republic and the national government. The national government, a national government represents the government of, for, by, for, and with the people. The people, we the people, translates to the word Lenape or Lenabe. These were the ancient Delaware or Narragansett people that first allowed the Europeans to come over here and do business. So again, these are the Moors, right? When it talks about the Moors who went from Spain, they either say, what does it say? So the Moors from North Africa went up into Spain. Well, if the Moors was from Africa, how come you don't find no Moors in Africa today? The only place you find Moors is here in America. Because prior to the Reconstructional history, North Africa meant North, South, and Central America. So when we talk about Moors going into Spain, we're talking about Moors meaning our governmental body heads, our people, leaving here, going up into Spain, setting up a whole thing, redistributing Europe, right, and then eventually being kicked out. So when we say America, then we're talking about the original de jure national republic. The national represents you as an individual who is a part of the great constituency left down to us by our ancestors and God. And the republic represents the representative form of government that we established to be able to free everybody on the planet. That's why everybody on the planet come here. You understand? Africans don't become Africans until they come here. When they're in Africa, they're Somalian, Kenyan, Djiboutian, Malian, or whatever. It's when they come here they become African. Same thing with Europeans. When they're in Europe, they're Europeans. They Italian, they Spanish, they Norwegian or whatever. When they come here, they white. You see what I'm saying? Because everybody on the planet has agreed. Everybody on the planet has agreed to keep the best kept secret, which is these Negroes that have been in this country who freed everybody in the world and gave everybody in the world a national and republican form of government that was translated or transliterated into a democracy, a demonstrative form of government, that has now been taken away to the point where we all live in a corporatocracy, which is a corporate form of government that is posing as a people. Therefore, when we say the United States, we're talking about a corporation. When we talk about America, we're talking about the people. You see what I'm saying? The actual land, on the land. Everybody that you see walking around the street every other day in America is on a boat, meaning that they are under the jurisdiction of admiralty corporate law, which means that they are literally on the law of the sea. And in the law of the sea, the captain is always right. But on the law of the land, when you on the land, you understand, the captain got to bow to whoever is in control of the bay. And that would be the bays and the eels. But because our people, see what I'm saying? Our people have convinced themselves that they are everything else but what they originally were prior to the country founded.
You know,
we are now in a position where we are paying for our what's the word? We are now paying for our blatant ignorance. The ignorance has now gotten to the point where it's strangling us.
It's killing us.
This is why Farrakhan just came out recently talking about African Americans need their own court. Why? Because believe it or not, whether you know it or not, he was nationalized as a Moor. He's the only reason. That's the only reason why he ain't in jail now. Remember when he went to Libya, they was going to lock him up? The only reason why he didn't get locked up was because some Moors met him when he came back in the States. He didn't go through New York. He had to come in through Louisiana, because that's French jurisdiction. And then once he got there, the Moors met him there, and they naturalized him under the name Farrakhan Mohammed Bey. That's real black history. But the point is, our people don't even understand how that relates to what's happening now. But this is exactly why.
You know, just to interject, when you look at a lot of the paintings and the artwork from, you know, years and years ago, from the 17th century, 16th century, in what is called Europe, you see a lot of the artwork. It's actually black people.
It's nothing but Moors. It's nothing but Moors. It's nothing but that, because that's what it still is.
Yeah, that's the so-called, I was looking at it, I don't know if you know this, the LaRouche Party, you know. We often have Dennis Speed on from the LaRouche Party, because they're supposed to have one of the best private intelligence agencies in the world, you know. But anyway, they have their Schiller Institute refers to the Golden Renaissance. And so I did, you know, some research on the Golden Renaissance. And what did I find? But this is just steeped with Moorish history, the whole, you know. So the Schiller Institute, and all
you
these
know,
classical
but see,
things,
along with and our guests, I mean, our callers, our listeners can, you know, dispute what I'm saying. It's cool. I don't matter. It doesn't matter.
Word.
But the thing is that Dennis Speed, he came on and he predicted a lot of information. You are one of the guests that come on and you break down a lot of things. A lot of guests kind of, you know, they feel some kind of way about you guys, and that's cool.
Good.
But the thing
I'm
is
glad
that
they do.
that information, we see it happening.
Exactly.
We see it happening. It comes to fruition like a year later. It's like, oh, wow. I mean, one time, not to cut you off because we're running out of time, but one time when we had the shooting, and I left here, you said, well, the reason why they're doing the shooting in, what was it?
The Navy Yard?
No, the one with the kids.
The kids,
Massachusetts?
You
said
Sandy Hook joint.
Sandy Hook. You sat there and you were like, well, that's only because we need to like change the gun laws. I left here. I drove to 86th Street. We on like one something. I'm tired. I can't even remember where we at. 138. And I was watching the TV in the gym, and President Obama was on saying that he's going to change the gun law. And I said, oh man, and that was fast. And I mean, that was just deep. So the things that we're talking about, they come right back up.
Just to reiterate, not to cut your wisdom, brother. Anybody who's ever listened to me know, I don't say nothing that I ain't researched to the point of exhaustion. So if I'm saying something, it's what it is. Not because I'm making it up, not because I'm getting some type of intelligence or whatever. Sometimes when you really in the spirit, that's the other thing. We as black, we as original people, we don't accept our power. We don't accept God in the manifestation of divine inspiration and intuition. Sometimes I'll just wake up and know something. And then I'll be like, where'd that come from? Now I'll research, find out it's true. Then I'll go on the show, say it or whatever. People's like, oh, that ain't true, that ain't true. Then they wind up being that. That ain't saying I'm a prophet. That's just saying that I've given up enough to the point where I don't have no ego in it.
Right. Though, let me just throw this at you, brother. One of the things that we discovered is that the Ukraine, or the deep state, or whatever you want to call it, the Ukraine is there's a lot of shale oil or natural gas.
Yeah, that's all oil under that.
And there's a
under the pyramids, though, it's flowing under the 7 pyramids that are on the coast.
Okay, and so the next thing I would say is about divination. I've been studying that lately, and what you're doing is connecting dots and in the spiritual realm.
And you know what? One thing I wanted to get, we like going back and forth because we was trying to do this in 1 minute.
Exactly.
But you had said that in our country these people have all these guns. This is not going to happen. Who are they making all of those graves for? Because you keep hearing about all these graves that they have set up, in these camps. Who are
the Bible say them graves is for them. The Quran say that them graves is really for them. They think they digging it for us, but it ain't. It's going to be for them.
Yes.
You got to understand, these people know. You understand? They know who you are on an intrinsic level, and they know that their time is up. It's literally up. It's been up. They only been on a grace period for the past 85 years, so it's really done for them. So what they got to do now is get as many of us to go down with them. You understand? So in that, like I said, all of the history I'm talking about with the Moors and all of that is contingent upon that, because guess what? 85% of the people in the Ukraine is Muslims. You dig what I'm saying? They not even Russian. They not even thing like that. That's what them wars in the Balkans was about during Clinton, killing all of the Muslims there.
Yeah.
When we talk about Europe back in the day, when we talk prior to 1899, we were talking about the word European. That meant somebody from the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Emperors were all Moors. That's the Pappenheims. That's the Johansons. All of these people were Moors. You understand? They didn't become Caucasian until after the 30-year war, after the 100-year war, after the war, the Crimean War, the first Crimean War. This was about kicking out all of the dark melanated people who they redesignated as gypsies or whatever, and then bleaching them out and then exporting them over here. And then once they got exported over here, right, they then got put under the whole jurisdiction, the whole Negro thing, black thing, color thing, or whatever. Because remember, they was enslaving everybody.
I'm going to stop you on that, the whole jurisdiction, the Negro thing, because when you come back, I've heard you go in on your show talking about, your jurisdiction and walking down the street and not knowing your status and like Trayvon and just people approaching you a certain way. And I would like for you to come back and kind of break that down on a very mundane level.
I would love to.
Yeah.
But what you could look for now, real quick, as we close out, look for them to start talking about sanctions. Once they talk about sanctions, then they're going to start talking about we are reaching an impasse. When they start using the word impasse, then it's going to go to now that we have reached an impasse. Now it's going to go to backdoor diplomacy. They're going to start using that word. When they use backdoor diplomacy, then it's going to go to peace talks. Once it goes to the peace talks, those are going to collapse, and then it's going to turn into the next thing.
Okay.
So we got at least, we got all the time that Allah allows us to have, but in terms of these devils, they only got but so long left.
Well,
so again, all the brothers and sisters that's in the military, all of that, just know they are trying to sacrifice. The Russian military is trying to sacrifice its own people. United States military sacrificing its own people. French, every government on the planet is working together to create a mass planet-wide genocide that will lead to them having to redistribute and restructure the world out of the ashes. That's what they want.
Interestingly, the United States had a ship there in the Crimea, and was doing exercises with, I forget who else.
China.
Yeah. Okay.
So can you give us some of your information, because just in case people want to reach out to you?
Yes, please. Anybody wants to hit me up at House of Bell or would like to find out more information about Morris Temple of America 2A, we are in Ecclesiastical District number 3. We are listed on the books, state records, that we're not in Florida. We are in Al-Andalusia, because that's what Florida was prior to that, meaning New Spain. Coincidentally, on your show, I talked about the right of return, the right of reclamation, right? Well, the Spanish government on February 7th said that anybody who is descended from the Sephardim Jews, the Moors, has the right now to get dual citizenship passports without having to be a Muslim or what their forefathers was today. They not doing that for Africans. They not doing that for Americans. They doing that for Moors. So the same people telling you that you are not this and you not that, the Spanish government is basically saying that if things get hectic here, you could get a dual citizenship passport as a Moor. You understand? And go to Spain. You dig what I'm saying? In Al-Andalusia, Granada, all of that. And they will welcome you. You understand? Because they know that their time is up too. So now they trying to get back. Wow. So this is real talk. So don't let these people make you give up your birthright for a loaf of bread, man. I'm telling you.
Well, with that being said, we definitely want to welcome you back, and we want to wish you a very, very, very happy birthday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you guys.
Oh,
New Year
right.
started on 20th, on the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, ends on the 23rd. So this is the vernal equinox, the spring. Everything is blooming. Again, the Bible say, the Quran say, that you're going to have tribulation on the right, tribulation on the left, but the chosen will be able to walk right through the middle, right? And be unscathed by both.
All right.
That's us, y'all.
All right,
so,
preacher.
Love and light to you both. Thank you guys for having me again.
All right, preacher.
All right,
hit me up at houseofl@hotmail.com, or check out Super Hayward Radio on Block Talk Radio, as well as Truth Be Told on YouTube. You could just type that in, Truth Be Told YouTube. You see me and the Queen.
All right.
Thank you guys, man.
Peace.
Peace.
Love and light.
All right. So we just want to let you know that you're listening to
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
And we have the Love Zone coming right up next.
Right at you.
And the thing is that we got Brother Howie in the studio.
Yeah. Who? He's here?
Oh wait, who's that?
He's gonna bring in that soothing energy to kind of soothe y'all out and let y'all reflect.
After all of the information we just get. I just on fire.
I'm looking at you and I'm like, I was speechless.
Yeah, he was. That's the first time.
Speechless, man. You gonna bring all this energy?
Yes, and reflect.
Well,
and we gonna use it. We use this 2 hours.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, I came in from my house and decided to bring some energy, a little bit of energy.
A little bit of energy.
A little bit.
Well, everybody's looking for the energy that you about to bring.
I just try to keep it mellow. That's all.
Well, listen. We ready for it.
Okay, y'all ready?
Yep.
Okay.
So thank you.
All right. So we're gonna let everybody know what we're listening to. We're gonna take a short break and be right back.
WHCR 90.3 FM, New York.
Hi, this is Brother Leroy of WHCR, inviting you to a book signing with Mayor David Dinkins, Thursday, March 27th at the Harlem Branch Library, 124th Street across from Marcus Garvey Park, at 5 p.m. It's a Cornelius Ricks Behind the Bench Forum, featuring Mayor David Dinkins speaking on his autobiography, A Mayor's Life. The community is welcome. Admission is free. Brother Leroy of WHCR is the moderator at this book signing by Mayor David Dinkins, Thursday, March 27th. Information, 347-413